Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 6 review coming right up. And, well, Rick, this is a pretty good week for the both of us. A good week for me in terms of my pick'ems, and a good week for you as your team won.
Because my team won our third game in a row.
You won your third game in a row, and you are now top of the East, which now means that the Hamilton Tiger Cats, in over 1,300 days, for the first time, have a winning record.
You want to know something sad?
What?
We have not been above 500 since 21.
Well,
in the first 5 games.
You can that curse is broken, as you could say.
For now.
For now. So, yeah. So all in all, this was a pretty good weekend for us. It's funny. We're recording this at 12:30 at night because we just had a 30-minute conversation about the pros and cons of Luke Wilson, which, to be honest, I think we will at some point need to make a full video on that. Just really, but like when I say a video on that, I mean unpacking everything. Like, I don't know, and we might need to have somebody on for that. I don't know if the two of us will be able to cover enough of it. But
I know someone who will not come on because he's also blocked him.
Oh God, I you know what? I have very mixed opinions on him. Some very strongly positive ones and very strongly negative ones. As I think he is the best worst person for the CFL. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this weekend's game. So the first game of the week, let's get into that, is the Calgary Stampeders with a 24-10 win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. However, before we talk about the game itself, we have to talk about the fact that this game was actually played on Saturday, despite this being originally scheduled for Friday. As a lot of you are probably aware, this game was basically delayed until around 11:45 Central, so that'd be I think 10:45
Eastern,
10:45 local time in Saskatchewan, before they eventually called it off because of all the smoke that there's been dealing with. I've lived in Winnipeg. We've kind of gotten some of that coming through the city the past few days. Just like you walk outside and you kind of smell it a little bit. You can see it a little bit.
The only problem that I will make this brief. The only problem that I have with the whole situation is if you're gonna have cheerleaders out there for 4 hours and you're gonna have fans sitting in the stands for 4 hours, you can effing have players play football in it. That's where I
disagree with you a little bit.
If you're not gonna let the players play in it, don't have the cheerleaders out there for 4 hours.
Yeah, and that was where I was gonna say I wouldn't go on the boat of kind of make the players play in that. I would go more on the boat of, if these are the precautions we are taking for the players, everyone else. I understand you're not going to give them maybe the same treatment in the sense of you're going to be more cautious about your players because of the nature of the sport they're doing. I think actually especially the cheerleaders, because if you think about it, the biggest danger with the air conditions is not just necessarily just breathing it in, but breathing it when you're doing some form of physical activity where you could be physically exerted, and that's the air you're breathing in to kind of help repair your body, which could be problematic for something like the cheerleaders because they were out there that entire time. But they're moving around, they're working out, they're doing flips, they're jumping around, they're dancing, they're doing that, they are exercising the same way. And so that is something where realistically, I think the CFL hopefully over time may want to have better sorts of protocol for something like that. It's funny, I almost wonder if places like Winnipeg or places like Saskatchewan years from now, when I say years from now, I'm talking at least 30, 40 years from now, eventually decide to actually at that point look into potentially, because if forest fires are still a problem then and potentially they're probably going to be a lot worse than that, potentially look at something like a dome. Hopefully the league is in a good enough state by then that that's something that can happen. But
I forget where I read it. I read it somewhere. I wish I kept the tweet. I had read somewhere that the information that the league was getting was not proper like it was there wherever they were getting it from. It was like
okay. Well, they need to get a good source for this, because if this is going to impact the scheduling,
that's what I mean. Because I mean, how would you be told, okay, we're gonna put it off for an hour or whatnot, we're gonna let you know in an hour, and then you got delayed again, and then delayed again?
Well, I also wonder if maybe
you get your information from.
Well, I also wonder if maybe some of these stadiums, specifically Winnipeg, specifically Saskatchewan, especially Saskatchewan, because they've run into this issue a bit more, should have some sort of installment of weather equipment that can actually properly track the conditions of the quality at the stadium specifically. Because if I think about Winnipeg, all the weather that is tracked in Winnipeg usually is tracked around the airport, at the Richardson Airport. And that's on the other side of the city. That's in that's on the west side of the city and slightly north of Portage Avenue in Winnipeg. So kind of like a little bit northwest, very west, a little north. If I think about the Bomber Stadium, that's just south, straight south on Pembina Highway. So that's something where you're not going to get, with something like smoke conditions, that can vary a lot from one part of the city to the next. Even more so than something like even rain. And so I think that's something we're getting. Weather equipment that can track this right at the building would be good. With Winnipeg, that actually might be even easier to do because you're at the university. Getting it to be kind of involved with maybe some of their college some of their university courses and some of the research that they do at the university might be even a little bit easier. But I think IG Field and Mosaic Stadium, being on the prairies, dealing with a lot of the forest fires that they've dealt with in the province, with Manitoba, again, unfortunately, they've had to call another state of emergency because of how bad that they're getting in the province. I think this is something that the league should look forward to do. And I think this is an investment that would be safer, not just for the players, but for the fans, especially if they're going to be sitting and standing out there the entire time, waiting for it. And I understand the CFL kind of like, wanting to ideally, like, really wanting to play the game. But again, I think they need to treat this with a little bit more caution, even if that means delaying the game a day, 2 days, whatever it is, in order for this to clear up. Today? So I hope that they kind of get a better protocol for this, but I don't want to go on this for too much longer.
The commissioner was saying something about it today. Yep. I just can't remember where I seen the tweet. But I have a question to ask. Mm-hmm. Do you think if the game on Saturday was played on a game on Friday without the smoke, do you think you would have had a different
result?
Aspect. Yeah, result.
No, because I mean, what changes?
Oh, I'm just asking.
No, I'm going to say no, because there's not, like, I'll put it this way. If somebody was maybe ill or whatever, who maybe either would or wouldn't have played or this or that, then maybe, but I don't see that having any effect on the game.
If you really think about it, should we really bring up the?
If they had started the game, but it had to get like stopped partway through the game, I think you'd have much more of an argument, in the sense of maybe like they started the game and Saskatchewan had a ton of momentum, but then they had to stop because the smoke got really, really bad. But then they resumed it the next day and Calgary had all this momentum out of nowhere, and then they went and they won the game. At that point, I would then say, you know what? If that game finishes the other day, they have a bit more moment, like there's a bit more to it. I remember this actually happened in a game, Winnipeg versus Ottawa, either last year or the year before, where basically Ottawa had a lead, but Winnipeg really was starting to get some momentum going. They were on a drive that was just fantastic, but then there was lightning, so they had to stop it, and the drive restarted like an hour, 2 hours later. But the problem is that Zach Collaros lost all his momentum at that point. Like, it was one of those things. He was on fire at that point. He needed to keep going. But just the weather conditions in Ottawa just killed his momentum, and it allowed Ottawa to kind of play good enough defense to win the game. But yeah, so Calgary would win by a score of 24-10 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Both teams putting up a big fat donut in the fourth quarter. But Calgary starting with a very good first half of this game, 17-3 going into halftime for Calgary.
My thing is, would it have made a difference on Saskatchewan's whole 16 rushing yards that they had the whole frigging game?
Yeah, no, that's... But, like, with the... The interesting thing here is I went 3-0 this week on predictions, and actually the one thing that I'm pretty pleased with is that I took Calgary in this game. Rick took Saskatchewan, and fair enough. I understand why people would take Saskatchewan in this game, just because of the strong performance I had. Kind of the logic I had was, okay, well, Saskatchewan's not going to go into Labor Day against Winnipeg undefeated. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that they would do that, especially with someone like Schaefer Baker still injured. And so I was like, okay, well, who could they lose to? They could lose to Hamilton if Hamilton's playing really well. They could lose to Montreal if everyone's healthy. Or they could lose to Calgary because Calgary was pretty red hot coming off a big win against the Bombers. And that was kind of what we got. Obviously, they didn't play quite to the same extent they did against Winnipeg, but they got a 24-10 victory over the Riders. They kind of kept the rushing game of Saskatchewan to non-existent. Dedrick Mills with a good game, still an average 6.1 on 85 rushing yards. Vernon Adams Jr. with a decent game in the sense of, I say decent because he did throw 2 picks, three touchdown passes, but 2 interceptions that he did throw, 428 passing yards, 11.9 yards on average, 28 for 36. Vernon Adams Jr. is starting to find his stride. He found it a bit last week, and then this week he kind of continued that. He would also have 2 rushes for 16 yards with an average of 8 yards per carry. And then his main receiver of choice this week was Damian Alford. Damian Alford, 6 receptions, 156 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. There'd be a touchdown as well for Brooks. Dominic Rhymes with a decent game with 88 receiving yards, 86 for Jalen Philpott. Jalen Philpott has looked like a really solid receiver for them. Not quite on the level of Tyson Philpott in terms of putting up these just really, really impressive touchdown numbers and whatnot game by game. But Jalen Philpott has definitely been a big improvement over last year. It looks like playing with Vernon Adams Jr. has kind of sparked something in him. Rene Paredes, 1 field goal on his 1 attempt, all 3 extra points for them. And then if we want to talk about the defensive side of things for Calgary, Tyler Richardson, defensive back, with 14 defensive tackles. Dude was just a machine. And then still a good game, though, as well for Kyle Wilson, outside linebacker for them. He had done very, very well. There was a sack for Hutchings as well as 2 for Hicks. And overall, just a really good game offensively and defensively. If you keep the Saskatchewan Roughriders to 10 points, you're probably winning your game. So that was just a good game by him. And on the Saskatchewan side of things, Trevor Harris, 36 for 44 attempts. Not too bad there. 425 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. 191 receiving yards for Joe Rubistelli with 1 touchdown on 11 receptions. But again, the big kicker for Saskatchewan, 9 rushing yards. When you have a guy like AJ Ouellette, if you can't even get hit 10 if you can't even hit 10 rushing yards for your leading rusher, not good.
I was going to say they had 16 as a team.
I said 9 just for Ouellette, though, because realistically,
Kadeem Carey only had 1 carry for 3 yards.
Yes, Kadeem was not carrying, but yeah, and then Brett Lothar, 1 field goal on 3 attempts. Not great. Again, you're hoping for a bit better. Do you know how long the ones he missed were?
Give me a second and I can find out.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna kind of look into some of the defensive stats.
How many did he miss?
He missed 2.
Okay, 1 was 44.
Okay, that's not horrible, but not perfect.
Let me find the other one.
Because he hit a 47. Missing a 44 is not the worst.
44 was the one that was at like the end of the game.
Okay. I see Jameer Thurman, 7 tackles, an interception for CJ Rivas, as well as
the other one was
AJ
52.
Allen. Okay, so that's not that bad. At least they were long ones. And then Ray had a sack for Saskatchewan. But all in all, this was just a game where, you know what? If I was Saskatchewan, I wouldn't sweat this. I would look at this kind of similar to the way Winnipeg did. And actually, if you're Saskatchewan, you can at least think of that. You put a bit of a better performance against Calgary than Winnipeg did. Even though Winnipeg got more points, Winnipeg was a defense disaster in that game, as well as actually throwing pick sixes. So I think if you're Saskatchewan, this is a game you don't sweat on. And you just think, okay, well, you know what? This team, this Calgary Stampeders, this is a serious contender. They've made themselves perfectly clear in that regard. So we're gonna have to make sure that we get it done against them.
I'm actually quite curious because I want to see when last year's debacle happened. Okay, so they're on the bye week 1. So they went 1, 2, 3. Bye in week 4, 5. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me see this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they went 4-0 and lost to BC in week 6. Beat Winnipeg. So then 1, 2. So in week 8 is the week that big debacle happened last season, where they went on that big losing streak.
Yeah.
So the question remains, Saskatchewan plays BC this week. Did BC win, and does Saskatchewan go on another debacle all over again?
Yeah. We'll have to see. I kind of hope so.
We shall see come our preview.
And now we're going to go into so are we ready to go into the next one, Rick?
Oh, you betcha we are.
We will, as the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat the Ottawa Redblacks by a score of 23-20. Now, the funny thing is I checked in kind of little portions of this game because actually I want to thank everyone who joined me over on the Nolan Hockey Podcast as we were live streaming AEW All In, which was now, just a side note I'm going to make about this before we get into the Ticats game, the longest wrestling pay-per-view of all time, surpassing WrestleMania 35, clocking in, if you include the pre-show, at over 8 hours. A stupidly long show. However, a very, very good show. The last 3 matches of that show were absolutely fantastic.
Did they have it one? That was all in one night?
It was on one night. It was over in Arlington, Texas. They sold around, I think, 25,000. It was actually a very good crowd there. And they were set up for around 27, so nearly a sellout there. But yeah, anyways, thank you to anyone who joined in for that. But we're here to talk about football. So, Ticats win 23-20 over the Ottawa Redblacks. If you're a Ticats fan, maybe a bit of a closer game than you'd like, but a win is a win, and you are in.
It doesn't matter how you get it, just that you have to win.
Yep, doesn't matter. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And right now, the how many is Hamilton Tiger Cats 3-2 with a winning record for the first time in over 1,300 days. Rick, you said since 2021.
2021.
And the Ticats are first in the East Division of the Canadian Football League.
And you know what else?
What?
We have mother effing swept. Well, first round swept of the whole East in our first round of games.
Yes. You got to win against everybody.
Everybody except for teams.
And that's going to help you with tiebreakers. That's going to help you with tiebreakers is getting those wins in. And before we do a in-depth review, I need to talk about one individual. And
the law man?
The man who lays down the law. Good God, as someone who is a Winnipeg fan, who is very, very aware of what Kenny Lawler is capable of, the guy hasn't lost a bit. If you didn't think that Kenny Lawler was the number 1 receiver in the entire CFL before this, you know he is now. That catch he made, and which quarter was that in? Was that the
that was the
first
quarter? Touchdown.
That was
it was the third quarter.
Third quarter. Shut the front door. That is a stupidly difficult catch to make in double coverage. He comes out with it.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw it. I know it was in the first half. Did you see the Justin Hardy catch?
No, I did not.
So, what was it? Drew Brown threw a pass to Justin Hardy, but it hit off like the defender's hands, and Justin Hardy caught it for a first down. But I'm gonna say something, Carter. You may not like it.
Yeah.
But I'm just stating facts. He may have won Grey Cups with you guys. I just think Bo Levi Mitchell's a better fit for Lawler than Zach Collaros is. I'm just saying because he already has career high in touchdowns. He's already going to have career high.
I'll put it this
yards.
way. I understand the argument. I understand the argument. If he wins a Grey Cup with Bo Levi Mitchell, I will consider it. I will consider
it. Listen, hold on.
Until
if he hold on, let I'm going to make a counter argument for that. If he wins MOP, and if he still doesn't win a touchdown, he's still, as long as he wins an MOP or a Grey Cup.
That's fair. Either MOP or Grey Cup. Because I will say, right now, currently, like, I know, I understand the argument, but currently you're contending with this, so we're having a hard time so far, but we'll have to see. But I understand what you're saying.
Even someone, like I was looking at it earlier, someone was trying to tell me, well, Nathan Rourke's going to be MOP by the end of the season. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like,
if you're BC, you got to worry about making the playoffs first. Don't worry about if you're going to get MOP. Rick, you know this. Don't worry.
I'm like, Bo has an extra 215 yards, has 4 more touchdowns, and 2 less interceptions.
Yeah. Well, and you know what the thing is, Rick? I'm going to put it this way.
Mind you, we haven't played you guys yet.
As a Ticats fan, I'm assuming you can probably attest to this. As much as, it's cool winning MOP. You know what's cooler than winning MOP? Making the postseason.
Yes.
So.
Oh, trust me. Us in the East this year don't have a problem making the postseason this year.
So far. It's been... Especially since we have so many question marks around Toronto, which we will cover in the preview of Week 7 coming out later this week.
To start this game, it was kind of a back and forth. Ottawa had 7 points in the first quarter. They shut us out. Then we had a field goal and a single in the second quarter. We shut them out. Then they had 13 points in the third quarter. We had 9. You know what the major problem was with Ottawa this game? Their kick return. The reason why I say that, again, I don't know what you saw in the game and what you didn't see. The game-winning touchdown, Pimpleton, it hit his hands and bounced. And we recovered it. And I think
I think I saw a return, unless this was in the BC Edmonton game. There was a return that was really good that would have been a touchdown, but it got called back,
But
right?
it was called back because
there
of
was
an
an
illegal block.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I did see that.
But yeah, I'm trying to... I think... When was that touchdown? Okay, so that was there. So it was... Oh, no, it wasn't that one. At some point, I'm trying to... Okay, no, he threw... Oh, here it was. So Pimpleton... Oh, no, that was... Never mind. That was the penalty. I'd have to go through it to see what the actual... At what point it was. But he had, like, 2 of them. Where it's just, like...
Really good turns were called back.
No, it's just like Pimpleton fumbled it twice.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, not just once, but twice. And then, so Drew Brown had 283 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Stanback had 7 carries for 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Not really numbers to write home about. Daniel Adnaboye had 3 carries, 13 yards. Eugene Lewis, okay, I will give him where his credit's due. He did catch 7 of 14 for 128 yards.
Yeah.
But there's something missing.
Well, you know the thing is, it's that The problem that I find Eugene Lewis getting is kind of the same problem that Bo Levi Mitchell had last year, in the sense of, man, those are great numbers. If only they could win. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not even that. It's how about you score touchdowns?
But yeah, like that, but at the end of the day, that boils scoring touchdowns boils down to winning the game. You know what I mean? And that was the problem that Bo Levi Mitchell had last year, is that no matter how well he played, they just couldn't get a win. They just couldn't win when they needed to, and it ended up making it so that they weren't making the playoffs. Turns out, making a few tweaks to the roster, now you're talking about a team that's top of the East. I can't say I'm too surprised in that regard, but that's been the thing with Eugene Lewis. Like, Eugene Lewis is a good receiver, but I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not that like like I can't say he's a guy that moves the needle. I can't say he's the guy that moves the needle, because he doesn't. Where is he? He's in Ottawa, and Ottawa's not doing anything. He was in Edmonton last year, and Edmonton didn't do anything last year. They're hardly even doing anything this year. And so it's like,
he hasn't done anything since Montreal.
But since his days in Montreal, like, again, it's not that he's been bad. Statistically, his numbers have been okay, but it hasn't been enough to move the needle, which is what you need. Mm-hmm. Kenny Lawler is a guy that moves the needle. That is a guy that has the potential to turn a non-playoff team into a playoff team.
What was the saying that Bo said the other day? When you throw a ball to Kenny Lawler, it doesn't matter where you throw it. He moves his eyes so quick, and he makes the adjustments so quick that he catches those.
Yep.
Instead of it being like 50-50 balls, it's 70-30.
Well, and you know the thing is that, and the insane thing about Kenny Lawler is he's a guy who makes catches around defenders. A defender will get his hands up, and Kenny Lawler will sneak his hands around to grab it and prevent the interception.
Look at that touchdown that we were talking about at the beginning.
He caught that ball up his ass, and he still scored the touchdown. Seriously, like he can catch it. He can catch the ball with just about bloody well anything. It's actually ridiculous.
So Justin Hardy went 6 for 7, 68 yards. Again, not very. I mean, he had 11.3. I mean, still didn't get any touchdowns. Keelan White was their only touchdown, and he went 3 for 6, 33 yards. Anthony Goslin, I believe he is their fullback. 2 for 2, 27 yards. Andre Miller, 1 for 3, 14 yards. William Stanback, 1 for 1, 7 yards. Pimbleton, 4 for 4 for 6. Like, Pimbleton wasn't being used. Daniel Adnaboye missed 1 catch. That was that the second Jamal Peters interception.
Oh, yeah.
Pickett led with Darius Pickett led with 8 defensive tackles, no sacks, no interceptions, no fumble recoveries, no forced fumbles. 1, 2, 3, 4 people had tackles for loss in special teams. That's pretty much it. Lewis Ward missed 1 field goal. He went 2 for 3. Had an extra point. One of the touchdowns, I believe, they went for. I'm trying to think, because that's 6. I'm pretty sure one of them they went for a 2-pointer and they missed it. I'm trying to remember. Richie Leone had 6 punts for 44.8 yards. Or on average, sorry. Pimpleton only had 6 returns for 78. Lewis Ward had 3 kickoffs for 155 yards, and then Pimpleton had 2 kickoffs for 93. And William Stanback, who would have thought William Stanback would have had kick returns 1 for 12?
Yeah.
On the good side, Bo did get the win. He had 266 yards and 2 touchdowns, but I'm not liking the completion numbers. Like, he had 23 for 41. Like, that just screams garbage. Like, that's not the Toronto. game that we saw last week. That's a completely different game.
Yep.
Mind you, like Simone said, some games you're going to have it where offense does their job and they have to pick up the slack from the defense. The defense has to pick up the slack from the offense. Special teams has to pick up the slack from the other players. I would have thought Johnny Augustine would have had a better running game. He had 9 carries for 29 yards, 3.2. Couldn't really get much of anything.
Yeah.
Trayshawn Ward, 6 carries for 29 yards. I mean, I guess because he had 3 less carries, that his average is more. Bo had 2 carries for 14 yards, 7 each, and Litre had 2 carries for 14 yards. Kenny Lawler, sometimes he was rushing the pass to Kenny Lawler. Again, like you said, Kenny Lawler doesn't need to put up big numbers to have a good game. He only had 95 yards for 2 touchdowns.
Well, and the fact of the matter is when you have a guy like Kenny Lawler, there are times where you probably should be not throwing to Kenny Lawler and somebody else because they're more open. But but if I can get it to Kenny, then he's got it. You know what I mean?
Speaking of which, now that you brought that up, that reminds me of something during this game. Did you see Tim White's miss?
No.
Just think of this. You're standing on just past the goal line, so you're in the end zone. No one on you. Bo throws in the ball. He effing drops it. No one to hit it out of his hands. No nothing. I mean, Tim White went 4 for 11.
Yeah.
The normal Tim White.
I'm ready to go on to the next one if you are.
Oh, okay. Sure. Just one thing. Reggie Begelton did have 7 defensive tackles, and he did return.
Whoa, game. Sorry, who?
First game of the season.
Who?
Reggie Stubblefield.
You said Reggie Begelton, and I'm like, Reggie Begelton is in crutches.
Reggie Stubblefield, my bad.
If Reggie Begelton had that many tackles, I would be seriously impressed considering his condition. But we got one more game of the week, so we were both right about that one in terms of our predictions. You went 1-2, I went 3-0. The last game of the week, the BC Lions defeated the Edmonton Elks by a score of 32-14. The Lions ran over them in this game. This was a disaster for Edmonton because here, you know what the thing is that the thing I said about Edmonton was true in the sense of that Edmonton, they have talent on paper. They're able to get wins here and there, but I think we would have better odds of a real life Superman crashing down to earth than having in our Lord's year 2025 the Edmonton Elks string 2 consecutive home wins together. And so yeah, the Edmonton Elks would lose to. Oh, I accidentally put up the Edmonton one. The BC Lions by a score 32-14, and it was 24-7 going into half. And it would actually get so bad to the point for Edmonton where Trey Ford gets pulled and Cody Fajardo goes in. And I'm not going to lie, if I'm Edmonton, I'm starting to lose faith in Trey Ford in the sense of like, how many opportunities does he got to get before it just doesn't work? The sense of he's got the legs. He's got the legs. He's got the movement. He just needs the throw. It's got to be more accurate. It's got to be better than that. Trey Ford goes 4 for 12. He's 33% completion percentage this game. He throws an interception, no touchdowns. And his average was 3.4 yards. That's awful. That's awful.
I'm actually quite curious to look at this.
He got 47 yards rushing. Again, it's one of those things. As a short yardage quarterback, as a guy that's a backup, it's not bad. And as a guy, like if he's playing on a rainy day where they're not going to be throwing the ball much and he's going to be running it a lot, it's going to look good. But, like, I'm just not impressed. I'm just not. Like, if I'm Edmonton, I need to see more, and I seriously consider starting Cody Fajardo for their next game.
So, since he came into the league in, here was that, 22, they were 4-14 in 22. Last in the West. 4-20 or 4-14 again, last in the West. 7-11, fourth in the West. They still missed the playoffs. And this year, you're 1-4.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I'll put it this way: BC right now is the number 4 team in the West, and I'm not gonna lie, they bitch smacked you. They're the number 4 team in the West. Calgary, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan all look better in BC this year.
I just
and they made you, and they embarrassed you. Like,
if I'm one of those people that signed a big deal in Edmonton, I would honestly be sitting there and be like, what the heck did I get myself into?
Yeah. Well, and this is why Edmonton's having a hard time. The only way that they've really been able to attract talent is with dollars, is with paying guys more.
The only positive for Edmonton is they're only out by 4 points.
Yep.
And they have a game in hand on BC.
But again, even then, that's just on BC. BC's not even in a spot right now. You would need to beat BC.
I mean, BC's also won the season series against Edmonton.
Well, that's a bit of a problem now, isn't it?
Like, you can't even old yeller Edmonton Elks. Like, they're so like, there's still 13 games left, but you can't make up what you need to.
Well, it's like, and if you're Edmonton, you're going to need to get some big wins against some tough teams if you're going to want to. If you're
not only that, but you're going to need help from somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, there's that too.
I mean,
I'll put it this way: if you're Edmonton and you want any hope of playoffs, either Calgary, Winnipeg, or Saskatchewan, one of those teams needs to bomb. Like, one of those teams needs to absolutely explode and implode from within.
Or you just need to finish 4th and be best than the 3rd team in the East.
Which is possible this year, considering the way the East has been going.
Well, all I can say is right now we would be hosting a playoff game.
Yeah. And as of right now, we would be in one. But then again, I'm still not worried about Winnipeg because, again, Winnipeg also still has games in hand and whatnot.
So, I mean, how is it? Just a few things that I want to touch base on this game. Mm-hmm. How is it that both your quarterbacks have more rushing yards than both your running backs? And how does your backup come in for 7 plays and has more than your quarterback, and your quarterback only throws 12 passes? Because
Cody Fajardo is way too good to be a backup. Again, it's one of those things where I was shocked.
No, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, how is Trey Ford only throwing 12 passes for like 3/4 of a game? Like, normally you have like 20, 30, 44. This guy has 12 and 34 yards passing.
Not good. Not good, Rick.
Well, good thing that they have a bye.
Yeah, no, this is one where you could really use that bye week.
Oh, also, I wanted to mention that I seen earlier. So, I don't know. So, you watched this whole game, right?
The Edmonton BC one?
Yeah.
I did not watch this whole game. However, I did see actually a lot more of it than I did the other one. Because while we were watching WWE Evolution, we had this game on like CFL Plus on like
so you heard
on a
what
laptop
happened to
or something.
Sresna, right?
I did. To be honest, again, I was paying half attention because I had stuff going on. I did not hear about this.
I
heard there was something.
Leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his knee popped out. He went to under the tarp.
Yeah.
They popped his knee back in. He went back out and played, and then he ended up leaving the game on a cart.
Now, I did hear that they did do a scan, and it turns out he bruised the bone.
Bruised his knee, and he could be back in a couple of weeks, but it's not long term. And Royce Mechier's ankle,
very,
also
very
not
good news.
Long-term.
As again, when you're talking a knee injury like that, if he tore his ACL, MCL, medial meniscus, whatever it is, if he tore any of that,
you're out for a year.
You're bye-bye season. Again, even then, you could still play potentially with a minor tear, but it would definitely hinder your performance. Like, you wouldn't be getting the best version of him. The reason I'm able to say this is because when I played, I had a small tear in my knee. I had a small tear in my ACL as well as my medial meniscus. And when I say small, I'm talking like just a micro tear, like really, really tiny, not like the fully blown at all. And even then, I was able to play. I was able to finish the season with medical approval. They just kind of said, don't expect it to heal until you stop. And even then, because again, I was our only center, so no one else could snap. So I also had a bit of pressure from my coaches to kind of keep going because of that. But even then, it absolutely hindered my performance. It fucking hurt every game. And so
I bet.
It's one of those things where that's something where you don't mess around with knee injuries. I'm very grateful that I didn't hurt it any more than that. As kind of looking back on it, was it maybe the best decision to do? Maybe not, but that was a decision I made, and I didn't get seriously injured, so I got kind of lucky there. But knee injuries, you don't mess around with that. So if you're Edmonton, you make sure that he is 100% before you put him back in there, because it is, once you get a knee injury, it is easier and easier and easier to re-injure.
The other interesting thing is Jake Ceresna scored their team's first interception this season.
Oh, yeah. That's bad when Terrell Ford's on the roster.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll put it this way: what the hell has Terrell Ford done? Terrell Ford has been fucking invisible. Has he done anything this year?
I'm actually quite curious myself.
What are his numbers? I'm gonna search this up, because I'm not gonna lie. I've noticed I'm just noticing now. Every time we talked about him, we haven't talked about any of his stats.
Terrell Ford.
Oh God.
13 tackles. That's it.
I see 16 on the website.
Oh, sorry, 16. Yeah, my bad.
16 tackles in 5 games, no sacks, no interceptions.
Edmonton has only had 3. Their whole defense has only had 3 sacks.
Oh my God!
And
Seriously.
1 interception.
And I thought Ottawa was where talent goes to die. Turns out it's fucking Edmonton.
Okay. Hold on. Let's rephrase that. Ottawa is where Hamilton talent goes to die. Edmonton is where the West talent goes to die. There's a difference.
Yeah, fair enough. So, but anyways, yeah, no, this is not looking good for Edmonton. Edmonton's got to get their shit together. Believe it or not, giving up 21 points in a single quarter, not going to win you a football game. At the end of the day, the Edmonton Elks need to start winning games. This is bad for their franchise. They want to improve the attendance. They want this and that. They got up to 17,000, which is good. Not in the sense of that's a good attendance, but that is an improvement. In the sense of it shows that Edmonton Elks, for those not aware, have lowered some of their ticket prices. Their starting ticket price for their cheap seats is $20 a ticket. It's extremely affordable. I believe the CFL needs to do a lot more of this. And so good news is that, again, they were at 14,000 before, up to 17. It shows that strategy works. So I hope they continue doing that and see growth in that sense. But the team needs to get better for that market to do better. As the Edmonton market is not a market that should be struggling, but here we are. So,
I mean, struggling for fans, or are we talking like struggling for wins?
Good God, both. But again, I believe that they're directly connected in the sense of they're struggling for fans because the team is struggling to get wins. And so they need to start winning games, like even just one year where they go 500. Like, I'm not even talking about a crazy winning season. I'm talking that right now they're like, I have to imagine that there's a lot of people in Edmonton that every time they go to a game, they just expect the team to lose. It's not a good thing to have. So
true.
Is there anything else you got, Rick?
Nope.
So I think that will probably be all for our Week 6 review. We will have our Week 7 preview coming out later this week. Got back to 4 games as Edmonton goes on their bye week. Winnipeg comes back off of their bye week. We'll talk about all the injury reports, stuff like that, going into that, which will be probably recording either tomorrow or the day after, Rick. We'll have to see. We'll figure it out, though. So,
yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace, and make sure you guys leave a like, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you guys leave us 5 stars. We would very much appreciate all of your support that you guys give the channel. And yeah, peace, love, and positivity. And we will see you all next time.